C9 has really been struggling against the top half teams, but if they drop this one to CLG, that's both a massive boon for CLG and a big concern for C9.
Every match from now on is really important because we need to make sure we secure a playoff spot.
As a team, we're really coming together. I think Cloud9 is like a really big test for us.
CLG had a rough start, and now they're picking it up.
They're able to pick up the kills. That's a triple kill for Stickseg. CLG has done it.
We had a good start, and we're slumping a bit.
TSM actually still here. Sneaky gets him with a cocoon. Not going to get caught out. The heels there. The door Doublelift gets it.
It'll be a pretty good benchmark, see how we do against each other.
I think if we win this match, it solidifies our spot as like a top 4 team.
Even if you go into playoffs at 6th seed, you can still win the whole thing.
Every match is important, but we need to win now.
Let's go. And you know we on the rise. Let's go. You can see it in the eyes. Let's go. 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 Let's go.
Happy Sunday, League fans, and welcome to Week 7 of the North American LCS. Our teams are gearing up for a full day of matches, and fans have packed the stands to cheer them on in their battles to climb the standings as we approach the postseason. As you can see, we have no shortage of people in the stadiums to cheer on their favorite teams as CLG entered the building a short time ago. Our defending champs arriving as a group in tight formation. They'll face off against Smoothie and the rest of Cloud9 in our match of the week today in the Battle Arena. Gonna be a sweet one between these two teams that are still jostling for position. Viewers of NALCS 2, though, will see Immortals seen here in a huddle on stage, pumping up for their match against a struggling Echo Fox. Their mid laner Froggen all smiles, though, as he arrives at the studio just a short while ago. Next to Big, one of the shot callers for that team. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. I'm James Dash Patterson, and helping me break down today's action, as always, is Mark Zimmerman and Alberto Crumzangifo. Gentlemen, how are we doing on this fine Sunday afternoon?
Pretty good. I got really early night's sleep, 10 hours. A little excessive, but
10 hours
feel
is
good.
a little excessive.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's almost at that point where you're still tired.
Yeah, you wake up because you slept
too much. How about you?
I've
10
never
hours?
slept more than 7 hours in my life, so I actually don't know.
My goodness.
How to relate
Well,
to that.
then I am amazed.
I've been living.
I'm gonna get you
I've
some.
been
I'm gonna get you
living.
some sleep aids. You're gonna take a nice long nap and tell me how you feel the next
slip
morning.
an Ambien later and see what happens. We might get a whole new crumbs tomorrow. Well, let's start the day off right with a heaping help of LCS standings. Atop the mountain is TSM, followed closely by Immortals in second place. Cloud9 and Liquid share a slice of third, while CLG and Envy are tied at fifth. Apex sits one win outside of playoff positioning and is followed by Energy, Phoenix One, and Echo Fox. Now for a look at the LCS action unfolding on both streams here today. NALCS 2 starts up with Immortals versus Echo Fox, followed by a bout between Envy and Apex. Over in the Battle Arena, Liquid battles first place TSM after our match of the week, where Cloud9 squares off against Counter Logic Gaming. Gentlemen, we've got tons of big matchups today, but specifically regarding this matchup, the CLG C9 news affecting that series. Bunny Fufu going to be moving to full-time streamer with Cloud9. That means that Smoothie is going to be recognized as essentially the full-time starter for this squad. They have made a decision, essentially. Smoothie is the guy.
It should be better for Cloud9. After all, consistency leads to improvement. So having one guy that you know exactly what to expect every single game, the entirety of the squad doesn't have to get used to playing with 2 guys. It can just play with Smoothie, and it should lead to a more stable Cloud9, which is what we've seen them struggle with in the past couple of weeks. So I think this overall, whether you like Smoothie or Bunny better, it'll be a better change.
Right, I think it's more of a Cloud9 fan. You're happy to see this. I said a couple of weeks ago, I was looking forward to when they finally picked one, because I think that is a good sign. When you have multiple players you're swapping between, often you want them to be very different in terms of what they bring to the team, but I think Bunny and Smoothie were pretty close in terms of champ pool, a Bard. I mean, Bunny had the Thresh, I guess, which was the big difference, but it was still like Braum, mostly the same stuff. So when you have 2 players very similar in what they're bringing to the team, it's a better sign when they finally pick one to go with.
Absolutely. Important to note, though, still that Bunny Fufu is on the roster.
Right.
Just that the team has made the announcement himself. He has made the announcement that he will be moving to full-time streamer, but that doesn't preclude him from necessarily jumping back in if something were to happen and they needed him on the stage. Now, in addition, rather, to the Cloud9 support news, we also need to highlight that the Challenger roster lock has taken effect. What this means is that with Piglet on Team Liquid Academy, Fabi has become the sole starter for Liquid. So in contrast contrast to the Cloud9 scenario, if Liquid were to go to Worlds, Piglet cannot go with them. He is locked onto that Challenger roster.
I think it's something that might be a little surprising to fans to hear that, like, if Team Liquid finally makes Worlds, the first one they're going with, it's not.
You're not going with your Season 3 world champion.
Yeah, you're not going off the back of this guy that you brought in. But I think it does kind of speak to the state of League of Legends in the sense where it's a very team-centric game, and not that Piglet was like a bad teammate or anything, but just he plays a very certain style, and when you're playing the more Ashe, Jhin, Sivers, which is what we've seen Fabian, those were not his forte, and it's just not the right meta exactly for him, and so you kind of see him in Challenger team playing a lot more Ezreal.
And Crumbs, I mean, this isn't to say that they couldn't find success with Piglet, just that most recently their record with Fabi has been great, and they're going to stick with what has been working for them in this season. Practically doesn't change much. They're already playing with him. This is just kind of finalizing that.
Yeah, I think it reminds me of a while back where OMG came out with a super roster of just everybody's a carry, and that just doesn't work. You can't have a carry in every single role, and that's what we see from Team Liquid, where you have the carry jungler in Dardoch, where typically you'd expect a 3-man carry with top jungle or top mid and AD carry, whereas Piglet really tries to be that guy that has the entire team on his back, and it just doesn't work right now when you have the carry in the jungle that's really trying to make so many plays. Just have the AD carry take a supportive role, and everybody's happier.
Yeah, even Lorlo stepped up a lot, getting the Trundle, the Fiora, the Rumble, like these kinds of things that need a lot more resources devoted to them. It's really hard to do when you have such a massive carry on one side and on the other side of the map. It's very hard for a jungler who also wants to carry to support both those lanes.
There's not enough gold.
Exactly, exactly. Well, all this roster news is relevant to our games on NALCS1, but we can't overlook Team Envy versus Apex over in the Battle Theater, which looks to be a very even matchup between these teams that are playing for bottom playoff seeding, as we just noted. That 6-7 slot, that kind of race to get into 6th and not land in that 7th, we just wait till next year position. These two teams, this is an important matchup for that final spot.
Right, I believe they're only one game apart at this point, so just being able to get this win in terms of the standings, but also the matchup victory, where even there's a couple more weeks to go. If they ever end up tied, this win is super important for them. In that regards, on top of the fact that they've both been struggling a little bit recently, and being able to end the week on a high note would be excellent for them.
That's what I was going to say. When we considered the series yesterday, especially the one for Apex, that was I can't imagine the mental hit that you take there in what was a win in game 1, a crazy extended game 2 that you should have won 2-0 against Cloud9, and then to be run back in game 3. Just very tough scenario for them.
I think both teams are actually meeting in a very low mental state because Envy obviously started out so hot. They're looking incredible, and then as the weeks came on, they just worsened and worsened, and now they got to the point where they got 2-0'd by Energy rather convincingly, and now they're facing off against a team that also had, as you mentioned, that really tough game. So hopefully both these teams can just shake it off and realize that you don't want to be going any lower than this. This is the time to turn it around.
Right, Apex may not have been able to snag a win yesterday against Cloud9, but they put up a good fight, which resulted in some massive plays that you guys shouted out online using the hashtag LCS Big Plays. We've got way too many to read aloud, but you can see them all here behind us, highlighting all the incredible action from those 3 games in that series. Let's check out some of the best moments.
Jensen gets the double kill as the snare misses. There's the equalizer on cooldown. Sneaky cuts it back as Ray goes down.
I'm going. I speed for you, Jensen.
Get him, Jensen! Get the penta! Nice, Jensen!
Nice, good job.
Let's go, dude.
Cloud9 are stalling this out as best they can.
They're gonna do it.
They cannot believe
They got the base.
On to the Nexus. It's going to go down. Oh my God!
Moses here.
Get in. He's
Looking
right on
for the steal.
Sneaky gets the kill.
He got it.
Stolen by Cloud9, and they're cleaning up the kills as well. They're able to get a triple kill. Impact catches Kane.
Nice.
Hey, got a quarter.
That went better than it could have. God bless.
That was almost tragic as
The
fuck.
underdog story.
Thank God.
I think Videos had it right. That went better than it could have. That might be the tagline for the series for Cloud9. If you're looking at it through the Cloud9 perspective, the whole series, that went better than it could have.
Yeah, or you could say went worse than it should have. I don't think they should be getting aced at 7 minutes, but
oh God, my goodness,
that
just
series
was such a wild game. The whole series was so wild.
The longer games, more time to practice. So.
Yeah,
that's what it is. They're like, we need.
See, that's going back to the start of the season for the best of 3s, because they started winning 2-0 in the middle, and then
they were like, well, here's the deal. We finally chose our starter. We got to make sure Smoothie actually has that much time on the stage. They're going to extend all their games from here on out to make sure he's really stage ready. All right, well, that's enough of us. Time to send it out to the casters to get our games underway.
Thanks, Dash, and welcome to the Battle Arena, everyone. I'm Julian Patriot-Timecart, and I'm joined by Isaac Azale Cummings Bentley. Coming up, we've got a match of the week as third place Cloud9 take on defending champions Counter Logic Gaming. Cloud9 appeared to be in a slump last week, but in fact have only dropped games to the best teams in the league.
Beyond only losing to the very top teams, your TSM and your Immortals, they showed yesterday they can really fight through a lot of adversity and come back in some of these games. They were down over 10K. They stuck around. They battled back. They're able to take this series. And C9 always seem to have the most action-packed games. And even though they're extremely exciting to cast, they're extremely exciting to watch, they are very draining on the players. So those 60-minute games where it's super tense the whole time takes a toll on them. And C9 needs to be on point. They could be caught off guard today. They got to stay hungry if they want to beat CLG.
And they are up against the defending champions, Counter Logic Gaming, who have been on an upward trend compared to the first half of the split, but have yet to defeat a team in the top 4. So a chance here to take down Cloud9.
Yeah, they look good when they're on, but they look sometimes really shaky when they're off. And they had a close series against Immortals. They took it to 3 games. Darshan and 6A have been kind of underperforming overall for the team. They do still have some really bright spots, though. Smithy has been looking really good. Afro has been coming up with huge plays in some of their key victories. The games that they took off Immortals, the series that they won against Envy, he was huge. But 2 players cannot carry a team. They talked about it on the desk, how much of a team play meta it is, the Piglet versus Fabi discussion. And everyone needs to be on the same page if they want to beat these playoff caliber teams.
Yep, CLG certainly are. And after several false starts, Darshan believes that Cloud9 will be a test to determine if CLG are truly on the rise.
I definitely see that aspect where Cloud9 was doing really well at the start and started doing worse, and then we were doing pretty poorly and we've been doing better. But I think it just comes down to more of how much are we learning from each set? Are we really improving from Cloud9? I think Cloud9 is a really big test for us and a really good opponent about how well we can play as a team. When our opponents are more individually skilled and a better team than P1 or other teams we've beaten, can we still hold together as a team and prove that we're better? And I think that'll be a pretty big test for us.
Well, Darshan's going to get a chance to prove it today, but let's check the teams as we load in. First up, it is Cloud9. They had a marathon set yesterday. In the top lane, it is Impact. In the jungle, Meteos. The mid laner, Jensen. AD carry, Sneaky. Starting support now, Smoothie and Coach Reapid.
And facing off against them today is the back-to-back champions. It's Counter Logic Gaming. In the top lane, it's Darshan. In the jungle, it's Smithy. Mid laner, Hui, AD carry, Stixay, and support Afromu with Coach Zix.
And after C9's general record of having some fun 3-game sets, I think these 2 teams are actually surprisingly close, and we'll see how kind of things work out moving into game 1, but it's match of the week for a reason. This is hype.
Ooh, let's go. It's definitely very, very hype. Excited for this one, and big stakes for both teams. CLG really needs to pick up these wins, make sure they secure a playoff spot, and like Meteos was saying, you get 6, doesn't matter if you're in the playoffs, you can still win the whole thing. And these are guys who did compete at the international level at MSI. They want to be able to make sure they can get to Worlds.
Cloud9 certainly know what it's like to make dream runs towards Worlds. Well, it maybe starts here in the back end of the summer season of the NALCS. We're into the draft, though, for game number 1. Cloud9 on the blue side for the first, CLG over on the red. And there's a Jax ban away from Darshan and a Malzahar ban away from Jensen. So already the big carries with targets on their foreheads.
Makes a lot of sense. Darshan, Jax has been a champion he probably has looked best on. That's the game they took off of Immortals when he played that. Malzahar is really rising in priority ever since it's kind of players are really realizing just how strong it is. Jensen with a pentakill on Malzahar yesterday. Rise taken away from Hui, his best champion. So very intelligent ban so far.
Yep, and there's Shen actually following. So another top lane ban, this time away from Impact on the CLG side. Been a really rock-solid top laner, and Impact, he's always been that team player in the top lane. Makes sense to take away one of the best tanks and one of the best utility top laners.
Yeah, another one that people have really been focusing against C9 is Trundle, because that is something that Impact really likes, has a strong laning phase, kind of fits his style. So interesting to see the Shen takeaway over that. We'll see if the last ban is going to be Trundle or if they're going to focus elsewhere, because a lot of teams do like to focus a lot on Jensen too, and Vladimir gets taken away.
Yep, Azir gets taken by C9, so there's the focus on the mid lane, but it was on the Cloud9 side. Vlad, though, of course, another mid lane ban like you mentioned, so as always, lots of mid laners taken out of the pool, so very open here for Cloud9 on pick 1.
And Rek'Sai's up, Meteos loves it. That's going to be my guess for first pick. Obviously, there are other options, Sivir, Karma, etc. Lots of high priority champs are available, but Rek'Sai's just so solid, and Meteos is fantastic at it. Expecting that first round for C9.
Looks like they're going to take their time with the pick, though. 30 seconds left for Cloud9 to lock this all in. Plenty to talk about, of course, because it's a big match for both these teams. The Trundle that's also open could maybe be the pick here for Impact if it feels like taking a blind, but Cloud9, like you said, there's plenty open. I think it's less about what are they getting here for first pick and more what are they giving CLG on the next rotation.
Yeah, for sure. And taking all this time, as you call it, Trundle first pick, sometimes you can know exactly what you want first round, but you're just taking the full time because you want to talk through, hey, what could they do? And if they do that, what do we do next? You're just talking through the whole draft, seeing what you can figure out. So getting Impact on that comfort champion, high priority here for C9. Will CLG look to take away the Rek'Sai from Meteos?
Quite possibly. Seems like a pretty good time to take it away. Smithy, of course, has a pretty wide pool of champions he can actually draw from. It feels like he's always up to date with what's happening in the jungle meta. Meteos did have some good-looking Gragas games yesterday, so I feel like he's got other picks as well, but we'll see what CLG decide to take here. I imagine they'll play it safe. Karma's also open if Aframu wants to take more of a defensive support, but plenty of options here for CLG.
Yeah, it seemed, based on yesterday, there was not a huge priority on Karma for CLG. They like getting Afro on the playmakers. I think it makes a lot of sense just based on where the team is finding success. It's often off of picks created by Aframu on the Bard, on the Thresh, on the Morgana, these sorts of champions. So they're going to take away Sivir. This at least denies the Sivir-Karma combo, so even if you don't want Karma, you take half of that combo away. That's kind of the S-tier bot lane right now, and Gragas taken away from Meteos.
Yep, I like the Gragas pick here from Xmithy. We kind of talked about Xmithy and Afro being the big playmakers so far for CLG. Makes sense to give them the playmaking champions, but we'll see if Meteos just decides, you know what, I was happy to give it up. Now I can just take the Rek'Sai if it's fairly safe, or if they have other things they want to maybe take up, maybe they just give Smoothie the Karma that he's played time and time again. There's a lot of push and pull in this draft, actually.
Yeah, as the meta becomes more diverse as far as especially jungle picks, people are kind of having a lot of comfortability playing different things. You can see Elise, you can see Nidalee, you can see Gragas, you can see Rek'Sai. There's a lot of different options, and it opens things up a lot for the draft, but a powerful bot lane duo picked up here by C9, they will look to bully.
Yeah, Lucian and Karma. I mean, Karma we probably expected from Smoothie, but Sneaky going to go away from the utility AD carries. He has Jhin bans against him in recent weeks, so kind of curious to see him go, you know what? I just want to try and kill Stixxay today.
And one thing to note, yesterday this was actually drafted by C9 against Apex. I expected them to really kind of smash bot lane. They were against Ashe Alistar. They did not have the kind of success you would really think they would with this bot lane. They went even, was a little bit of a letdown. They did great in other lanes, but in this one in particular, they struggled to kind of find the success that you may expect. So we'll see if they can carve out that advantage for themselves this time.
Well, it looks like we're going to save mid lane for last here. Thresh for Aframu and Nar for Darshan. Going to more of a tank pick there in the top lane versus the Trundle.
Yeah, and playmaker for Afro. I'm definitely a big playmaker. Excited to see how he's going to be able to perform on Thresh. A lot of roaming capability there. You obviously have the safety of the Lantern always. So some good engage, some good disengage as well from the Thresh. And Nar has been actually the most popular top lane pick in this new patch with kind of the Aurelia's priority going down a bit. Darshan is going to be able to try to kite around on impact and stuff, but it is one of those matchups where it can be a lot about skill, just based on how the Trundle is able to use his pillar. If you can interrupt the Gnar hop, you can land that pillar on that to stop him. You can chase him down and sometimes just overtake him and kill him off. So Darshan will have to be careful about that, but at the same time, if you get Cleaver, if you get that Frozen Mallet, you can kite this guy out and really punish him.
Ooh, I like it. Cloud9. Meteos actually going to go away from Rek'Sai. Wants something more aggressive, and Talia, she's back.
She is definitely back, and we have been seeing Jensen and Bjergsen especially crushing on this champion. It looks so good when it's played well.
Well, we'll see who he wants, because kind of needs a big damage mid laner. Maybe goes back to the Aurelian Soul. Crowd seems to be happy about it.
Yeah, he has looked really good when he has played it, but it's not okay. Last second swap to Cassiopeia.
I said it, high damage mid laner, who he delivers with the Cassio as the final pick there for CLG in the draft. Certainly don't want to stand under the wrong spots versus Talia, but Hui, if you can get going, Cassiopeia does monumental amounts of DPS.
Really does, and being able to deny the dashes from Lucian, as well as even just the Q execute from Elise, that can be pretty annoying to deal with. We'll see how they're going to be able to perform. A lot of roaming potential, a lot of early aggressive potential from C9 here with the Elise, with the Talia, and very powerful lanes.
Well, definitely curious to see how game one works out, because this draft is really exciting between these two. I will say CLG, I think they've defaulted back to more of the current metagame. Darshan are more of a tank pick, Hui are more of a carry. This is that shift of power we talked about in CLG. They've talked about it themselves. They're trying to kind of fit more with what's happening in current league. Hasn't been that successful for them, but they're certainly drafted to play that way in game one, and pulling it up against Cloud9 will be very impressive indeed, at least for the first game.
Yeah, and Cass is such a powerful team fighter. You do so much damage in those straight up 5v5 team fights if you can stay alive. Talia is much more about making plays, getting odd man fights, cutting people off. So we'll see if Jensen can do that, or if Cassiopeia can stay safe and really pound through this front line.
Well, we know both these teams have big fan bases, so now's the chance to show which team gets more love from their supporters on Twitter. Use the hashtag C9win or the hashtag CLGwin to show your colors. But the crowd is hyped. They were screaming while we were setting up, it felt like.
Yeah, they are super hyped. I don't blame them. We got some great games today, and we are going to be starting the first one off.
I'm very excited to see how this one works out. Game 1, C9 CLG. Let's do it, because this is an important one for these two teams. Cloud9 trying to retain their spot in the top 4, and CLG maybe trying to crack through. This is the first start for both these teams, as Jensen's going to surf his way out of the base there on Talia. Going to get that champion played one more time for himself. Had a great go on it before. Curious to see how he does here in this game.
Yeah, C9 has a chance to kind of get the edge over Liquid in the standings today. They both won yesterday on 8 wins. And we'll see. Whoa, Smithy's going for some sneaky shenanigans. They've stuck around. They actually did this yesterday, and they were able to get a first blood against Immortals with this. So they're going to come around behind Jensen. Jensen will not expect it.
Belly
They got
in there as well! Who's going to follow in with the damage? Jensen's just dead. There's first blood.
So smart by CLG. They pulled this off the other day against Huni. They have been doing some very creative jungle pathing, using the body slam, getting in for the flank. The flash hook is nailed by Afromu. Wow. What a start.
Blind as well. Like Smithy just knew. He reached out into the aether and just felt Jensen's presence. He got bopped. So watch this one again.
And here it is. Jensen has no idea this is coming. Body slam flash hook from Afro. Then they give it over to Stixay. I think who he might have wanted he ignited, but that's okay.
It'll have to do there. And it did get a bit of vision, of course. Afro able to cover, but Jensen just standing in a predictable spot. Good preparation from CLG. Gets them a kill. We'll see if that helps there in that lane, but looks like we are going to have standard lanes, actually, which is even more exciting as we have a quick look down at the Keystone Masteries. Nothing too crazy going on just yet.
And it can be problematic, honestly, for C9. We talked about, hey, this is a great aggressive lane. Well, guess what? Their ADC Harry gets to start with 2 pots and a longsword. It's like a huge advantage, so a lot of that kind of edge in the matchup is already knocked away.
Well, you can see Jensen, great harass under Hu. He pretty much hit him with every single hit of the threaded volley before, and now autoing him under turret. We expect Talia to play aggressive in the early levels especially. We'll keep an eye on that matchup later, but Stixay, good spell shield, but poke there from Smoothie going to follow in. That early longsword could make for a pretty explosive bottom lane, but Sneaky and Smoothie trying to assert early dominance.
Yeah, they're looking good. They're going to have to be really careful. If you get caught by those hooks, can be bad. Ooh, an Impact could be taking some damage here.
Being zoned off a little bit. Minina getting pretty angry, but isn't going to transform just yet. Darshan trying to stay in range form as long as possible to get some harass down. Smoothie, in the meantime, just wards up that blue buff. Does get spotted by the Wolf Spirit, but decent information there from Cloud9. It's a late blue buff attempt here from Xmithy, but I doubt he'll get it taken away. It's just a bit of extra info for Cloud9.
It's one of the advantages you get when you have the shove in bot lane. They push in faster, they get that aggressive ward in, and now they have the tracking on Smithy. This allows Meteos to make his move with confidence, knowing where the CLG jungle is going to be.
And it looks like Meteos for now, actually on the left-hand side of the jungle, might be making a beeline for the red buff. We'll have to see as the vote is in. Cloud9 support is currently the loudest. Don't forget you can update your vote.
Almost 70%.
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
Mate, they must have not seen the first blood then. Oh, here comes second blood perhaps. Meteos going in. Impact in a flash for over Darshan, trying to get aggressive. Meteos comes back down. Darshan trying to flip away. Oh my god, he traded.
Darshan with the outplay, and Impact is the one who blows his flash. Darshan doesn't even use a summoner there. Gets the kill. Fantastic play from the CLG top lane.
Well, we're not done yet. Xmithy now going to make another gank known in the mid lane. Jensen has all his summoners, but who is going to lock him down into the ground? Miasma making things tricky, but Jensen sniffs that one out and walks away.
Yeah, one good thing for Jensen, he didn't blow his summoners on that first blood, so he got the flash.
Safe for now, perhaps, but Xmithy can always go for a revisit. In fact, he's already back. Jensen hugging the left-hand side. But he has to, a little too far forward, actually. Hui with some damage. Jensen going to fire back, but I think he, suspects Xmithy's back again. Gonna have to walk the long way around. Meteos trying to bait, but not happening this time. Sneaking with some pokes. Stixay with a nice spell shield play back from Afro. Damage there. Smithy gets hooked. Snare's already down. Stixay gonna take additional damage. Sneaky trying to weave a few more auto attacks in. And Afro moves taking a lot of damage. Support's getting low. Stixay going back in. Heal burp by Cloud9. There's just action everywhere.
Very close trades there. Karma has to be so careful when getting hooked. The heal comes out, and we have the replay here. Darshan knows there's no way out, so he goes in. He lands double passive procs there and is able to take down Impact. So well done. And in the bot lane, you know, that first blood advantage for Stixxay is definitely helping them out a lot. If he didn't have the extra potion, if he didn't have the longsword, they'd probably be a lot worse for wear.
Yeah, as it is, CS just nice and even, so we'll keep tracking the matchup, although right now Sneaky and Smoothie have the wave pushed up, so that's a decent spot for them. Early Trackers knives out for both junglers, so Smithy and Meteos can look to get that vision down, and the Fade almost completed for Darshan's maybe the big news there. He did teleport back to lane, Impact is yet to shop yet, but that one kill is definitely going to help Nara along, and he's already got a decent CS lead in the matchup.
Yeah, a really big one, honestly. He's doing pretty well for himself, thankfully for Impact. Wave pushing his way. Going to be able to pick up some of that farm and look for Talia. Once she gets 6, she's going to make her move, or potentially can.
Level 5 right now for Jensen, so getting close. Does have the exhaust to potentially impact the gank as well, although Smithy looking for top lane again here to try and take down Impact. Darshan already had 1 kill. Smithy's going to wrap around the back and see if he can't go for a turret dive perhaps. No, just some vision down. Does get spotted by the Wolf Spirit.
Yeah, wants to get that deep vision, protect his top laner, because Darshan is pretty far up there, so you get the River Ward, you ward up the Gromp. It's going to allow him to be feeling very, very safe. Even a pink ward drop. So Smithy is really protecting Darshan. They know they have the early lead. They don't want to throw it away. With Meteos.
Oh, good ulti from Hui. Gets him under the tower. Jensen taking damage, and that's just an outplay.
He got absolutely smashed there. He got stunned under the turret. No chance to get out, and Jensen gets too far forward. Big star here for CLG.
That was just a great solo play from Hui. Not what we're used to seeing on that side, but expertly played as Jensen's just too far here.
Yeah, he sees the wave is about to die. Hui nails the ultimate, and Jensen's just way too far forward. That's 2 turret shots, cannot afford to take it. Uncharacteristic error there from Jensen. Way too far up. Same thing happened to him yesterday against Keen. Got solo kill, but Darshan going for the outplay shot.
Huge damage in the top lane. Impact forced to burn the ultimate. Darshan still fighting, but Impact is bleeding low.
It's a close one, and Darshan has him pretty low. Trundle, great sustain champion, though, and the double Doran's items. It's kind of the welfare build here for Impact. He knows he's in the struggle, and is going to be building for that early game, trying to stay alive. Darshan doing well, though.
Yeah, Darshan actually going back, so it might have some items completed. As I imagine the Phage is pretty close. It's actually going for the Jerome's Fist first, so a little different to start things off. No Phage just yet, so maybe delaying that cleaver for a little while.
Yeah, may just go straight into that Frozen Mallet. That's what it's looking like. Gives you a lot of ability to kind of kite out your opponent and just keep Trundle off of you, and it's very, very frustrating to deal with for any melee champion. Smithy doing a little bit of counter jungling, going to pick up a camp, and we'll see where his next path is going to lead him. A lot of C9 pings are on that side of the jungle. They know where he is, and they saw him go over the red, so they may look for the collapse. They're coming.
Yep, Sneaky's already here. Smoothie actually up as well. Like Smithy does have everything available, but already taking damage. Lantis there! Afromu going to make sure he gets out.
Nice play by Afro. Keeps Smithy safe, but a good collapse all the same from C9.
Smart from Sneaky, just dashes out of the way. Afromu looks for a hook, does not find it. And Sneaky and Smoothie will continue farming here. BF Sword actually picked up from Stixxay now that he's gone back. Sneaky with that serrated Zerk and a longsword looking for that early Ghost Blade, but Sivir again keeping up in CS from that early first blood.
Yeah, even up 10, so a nice advantage here for CLG. All their lanes are honestly looking really good. Solo kill in the mid lane for Hui. Darshan has the advantage top lane. They have an advantage bot lane. Smithy even is up a little bit in farm in the jungle, although a kill did go over to Meteos, so still, things looking really good so far for CLG.
And there's blue buff for Hui. Jensen actually already picked his up. He's trying to leave this lane, shove it out as best he can. Actually gets a nice combo down and obliterates that poor minion wave, but can't really leave without getting spotted. Clears out the rest of the wave and maybe looks to roam top, but does have a bit of coverage. Gonna hit the recall button instead.
Smartly backing on that pink. Even just that little move means Darshan has to at least think about the possibility of the roam, have to be a little bit more careful. So always going to make those small moves. Try to get an edge.
Looks like Jensen could look for a roam, hasn't been able to leave the lane just yet. Hui though spots his pink ward. Now we'll have vision on that side of the map, so should be able to protect Darshan a little more from Jensen maybe entering his lane. Meteos and Smithy trailing each other on the left-hand side of mid. Jensen is back, and Meteos, that's a very aggressive, actually. Pop there by Smithy. Gonna have to rappel down, but no ultimate pull there for Gragas. Meteos gets away.
Yeah, we'll get out of there, but a nice little spot from Smithy. Keeps his mid laner safe, always in the right place so far this game, and they're going aggressive onto Darshan, pretty far up. Can Meteos get the cocoon? Smithy is coming.
Darshan actually got back into hyper, hops away, needs a little more speed, does have flash, flashes a cocoon. Meteos burns the summoners there.
Summoner trade, but a good wait by Darshan. We talked about interrupting. Oh, Jensen with the turn.
For the big play, but Jensen gonna shove him back away. Can't afford to fight though. Hui with another aggressive attempt.
That is his flash. We're seeing Smithy coming around. He has his flash available. They're going to look for the dive.
Gonna try and bop him. Jensen's pretty low. Gonna take out the Raptors. Jensen wants to stay for a little bit of extra farm. Gets it and has to be careful. Meteos almost there to assist. They haven't spotted Smithy just yet. CLG, do they still want this dive?
They saw him. They pinged it out. So Meteos knows he is there.
Oh.
Spiderling going to chase him out.
Yep, that forces Smithy away. So going to cover Jensen here. Hui though still pushing up. Good flash in. But ultimate does not get him out from under the turret though, and Jensen flashes out.
Yeah, it's actually a really smart position that Jensen was standing there, right between the turret and the wall. It's very hard to hit the perfect angle to knock him backwards. So that cask actually just knocked him to the side just a little bit, and he stays in place. Keeps him safe.
Yeah, trades of summoners though. Hui did burn his flash on the attempted 1v1 kill, but is not going to get it. Jensen not forced back just yet either, actually staying for another wave, expecting Hui to go back, which he is. And Smith, you're going to clear away his red buff there. So lots of play between these junglers, but CLG up 3-1 in kills and 1,000 gold already. It's a nice little start to this game. You said it already, their lane seemed to be ahead. Stixay actually off to a flying start now in bottom lane, almost taking the turret naturally. Sneaky forced to burn the ultimate just to clear the minions out.
Yeah, down 20 CS in the 2v2. Your turret's almost dead. The C9 bot lane is getting bullied hard, and it feels like they're just kind of playing a little bit scared of Afromu. They know the potential for the all-in if Thresh is able to land these hooks, and they're having to respect it a lot.
Yeah, that early kill obviously helping as well, but we'll see how much longer Cloud9's bottom lane can stay afloat. CLG, though, continuing to play up and aggressive. There's been pretty much no jungle attention down here either. So Stixay and Afro know they can play up. Sneaky just going to tank the wave with a bit of help from the shield. And again, just try and keep that turret healthy for as long as possible. But in general, I think CLG playing well in their lanes, and Smithy's making sure no one gets to leave. Jensen, he wants to affect the other lanes, but he has not been able to leave yet. In fact, he's constantly being pinned down either 1v1 or 1v2 with Smithy there as well.
Yeah, so much jungle attention thrown his way, and Stixay has been on point with the spell shields. This is going to be the turret going down. CLG's bot lane really doing work here so far.
We talked about Afro looking good. Stixay looking a lot better here in this first game. The duo seems to kind of have some of their fire back. Smithy also going to start the Ocean Drake, so CLG can look to convert not just a tower and a 2,000 gold lead, but an additional objective as well. Lantern in, hook around, whee! And that's an easy Drake for CLG.
Everything going right. Up 2K, you got your dragon, got first turret. Everything is looking very good. Jensen with the very early Swifties, and it's going to mean Hui has so much more combat power. Jensen's going to need to make something happen with the roams if he wants to be relevant, because the completed Abyssal for Hui means he is going to dunk on this guy if they straight up fight.
Yeah, and we've seen it already. Hui is willing to pull the trigger very quickly on any sort of kill situation. Has his Ignite back and ready as well. There's Meteos still hunting around, hoping a 2v2 starts, but Smithy's not there this time. Hui's not going to walk straight into a gank. In fact, Meteos maybe going to face check here, but just clearing that pink ward, and Sneaky's up as well, so CLG decide 2v3, not willing to contest for that ward there. They'll leave it alone for now. And Hui actually playing back as well, given that Smoothie was also off the map.
And the C9 bot lane basically just had to roam up because they're not interested in this 2v2 anymore. They know they're very far behind, and in a long lane without a turret, Sivir ulti for the engage can be terrifying. So they're just going to kind of make that roam up to mid lane, get back bot to catch the wave.
Yeah, Stixay actually 30 CS ahead before this wave started crashing in. So a huge CS lead there, just 1 versus 1.
Meteos is here though.
Continuing to compound that objective. Smoothie eats a crit. Front into the boomerang as well. Stixay just poking in. Smoothie pops the shield up and keeps himself relatively safe. But now Smithy's down here. CLG might even look to make a play of C9, extend too far in that bottom lane.
So far, Smithy has been playing it very patiently. He's just basically protecting his lanes, not necessarily through ganking a ton, but from kind of just showing his face, clearing out wards, always warding deep for his teammates, and it allows them to do the work that they want to do. So far, so good. Darshan.
Yeah, in again. Impact actually forced to burn the pillar. Darshan flashes in. Now Meganar maybe going to flash in for it. That's a flash forced by Impact, though. Darshan wins a very good trade. Smithy hits Cocoon, but Stixay's here as well. CLG just going to force down mid.
And mid lane turret taking a ton of damage, and it was a smart early flash from Impact. Darshan was basically kind of playing a little game of chicken, because if he flashed in and lands the Mega Gnar ult, he will just kill Impact. So Impact had to flash early, couldn't risk it.
Well, a positive trade certainly for Darshan as Jensen goes ahead and gets his blue buff. Done a decent job protecting CLG's little shove into the mid lane. Plenty of wave click here on Talia, so Jensen just going to completely smash that wave. But again, he's been anchored here to the mid lane, who he's still up in CS and now going back for a next item. T9 kind of forced to play back here. It's not usually the style we see from them. They like to be very active around the map, but CLG doing a nice job containing them so far. It's still up as Darshan's also finished his Frozen Mallet. So those trades, especially with no flash, only going to start getting worse for Impact, and as a result, Cloud9 have actually swapped their lanes upside down here.
Yeah, they're going to try to give Impact the freeze in the bot lane, move up top, see if they can't get some pressure on this turret for themselves, and especially with the Frozen Mallet done, it's going to be tough for Impact. You have Swifties down on Darshan, he's going to be so fast, and he's going to be kiting you around with those slows non-stop, but CLG is up here in the top lane.
Pretty quick answer. Stixay has a completed item, actually. Essence Reaver done, although Ghostblade there for Sneaky isn't too bad for Lucian either. Cloud9 actually, I think just trying to break up the laning phase more than anything else, because it's been sort of a rough time. But no luck just yet here, as Darshan's going to go back down to meet Impact 1v1. And Jensen does have an item built up now. Morello Nomicon finished is nice, but still stuck here in mid lane.
It was just such a tough start for C9 because a lot of their lanes kind of got screwed over by this. And Sneaky is dueling up here very aggressively.
Yeah, Stixay just stands his ground. Almost takes out Sneaky. Tina had an extra, but Darshan now going to slow Impact. And I don't think he's got anywhere good to run. No flash left available. Now Mega going to slam him into the wall. Talia's trying to save him out. Darshan gets him. And now over the wall. Darshan escapes.
Darshan in the long lane chasing him down. Another kill for the CLG top laner. He is doing great. Things are going a little bit bad to worse, as that's the first time we've seen the Talia ultimate. Gets nothing. Top laner dies 1v1. Feeling like there's a little bit no escape here for C9 as they're even forced to back off the turret in top, and this may be going down.
Yes, Stixay should be able to get this. That's 2 turrets to 0 now. Lantern gets him out safely. Afro, as always, with the exit. And Jensen's getting 1v1 again.
Both summoners committed there by Hui. Jensen stays alive, but just barely, and this is going to mean even more damage there on the mid lane turret.
Yeah, Hui actually, no help just yet, but might be able to get it if someone comes to assist him. Waiting for a minion wave here, but great damage already under that turret. Darshan actually hoping Jensen had stayed, but Jensen does not take the bait. Xmithy actually on top of a pink ward, they're ready to collapse.
They certainly are. They're setting up the dive. That gets warded out. At least Afro has been discovered. They see Stixay moving in, so they know this is going to happen. But Meteos, has to pull the flash, and that means mid lane tier 2.
Great hook by Afro, yeah. I mean, they're probably going to get it anyway, but getting a free summoner is nice as well. CLG up 3 turrets to 0, 4 kills to 1. Ocean Drake in their back pocket with the next one in 55 seconds. And a pretty substantial gold lead at this stage of the game. 17.5 minutes in, they're 3,500 gold up. Their laners are getting solo kills. Things are feeling pretty good.
He needs to be careful here.
Yeah, Smoothie here to defend. Stixay burns the ultimate, but they won't rush in. Can't see anyone else.
Yeah, they don't know where Meteos is. Otherwise, they could have taken that 2v2, I think, very easily. And Meteos now did get spotted out entering the jungle. Afro is behind Stixay. They're just going to push out the wave and try to base, but if they could stop Stixay's back, not going to happen.
Yeah, they can't. Jensen, I think, also motioning to that top side, but couldn't make it. CLG's bottom lane escape. Darshan goes back. Now he's got the Phage and the Swifties, so Impact's plan of running away is getting less and less feasible as the game moves on.
Yeah, even more move speed, gonna get that Black Cleaver. Titanic Hydra done for Impact, and has done a really good job farming, honestly. Up a couple CS in the fact that he has had these disadvantageous trades and has gotten killed, so he's at least staying relevant in that regard, but Sneaky very behind. 2 items done for Stixay, and the mid lane matchup looking pretty rough. C9 really needs to try to get aggressive, make some plays with the Talia, but it's just not happening, and CLG is on top of things. They're always having deep vision. They're being very safe.
Yeah, they've had great movement around the map. They'll get themselves a second Ocean Drake for their efforts. Xmithy even goes back over into Cloud9's jungle looking for this red buff. Cloud9 just really don't own any aspect of Summoner's Rift. Impact does spot him with a pillar, but I don't think it's going to stop him. Cloud9, though, looking for a tower. Finally grab one, but it's the top lane out and they're committed. 3 for it. They might lose something here.
they can defend bot lane tier 2, that will be good for them. They may even just try to trade tier 2s if they can actually make that happen, because they're really willing to take whatever trade they can get at this point. Tier 2 going to be going down for sure for them, and now the question comes, can they dive Darshan? Meteos is kind of hovering around topside, looking to perhaps at least force him off, and if they can get this trade, it's good for them, but now it's the inhibitor turret that's going to be under threat.
Yeah, Impact cannot stand. CLG are winning this race. Impact going to try and slow them down, but it's just going to get hooked for it. Might even get killed here as Jensen's made his way down. Blocks him off with the wall. Stick safe forced to flash out of the way. Afro, though, taking turret. Aggro. The CLG want to go back in. Cloud9 with a successful defense so far.
Yeah, they're low, though, and this is looking like it may go down. The bases are coming in from the Cloud9 duo.
Oh, Jensen doesn't get hooked. Afro gets shoved out of the way, and the angle's not quite there. Almost gets himself killed as a result.
So close to being a disaster for C9. If Impact and Jensen went down there, it would have been the base gets cracked open. But in the end, it is that 2-for-2 turret trade, so not bad for C9. Obviously, some more damage done to that inhibitor turret. We'll start to regen, so not the end of the world.
Yeah, nice trade there from Cloud9, getting much needed gold back in their favor. Gold lead is still pretty much the same, but Cloud9 at least get some gold now, which is probably going to matter given that CLG's pace has been pretty quick so far. Jensen clears out a wave, going to go try and get his blue buff. But CLG are only getting stronger, and this mid-game is shaping up to be very CLG favored.
Yeah, I like the late game more for CLG too, with Cass and 6A on the Sivir. I think that their late game team fighting is going to be more powerful. It's really going to be up to C9 to get the picks with Cocoons, with the Talia, and these speed ups.
Well, CLG continue to move through Cloud9's jungle. Darshan pressuring up as well. Looks like
Five-man squad.
Top lane tier 2's on the menu. Sneaky trying to trade in the bottom lane with that Lucian. Fedix Smithy just doing damage here. CLG going to start aggressing onto this turret. And should be able to take it down so far. No one from Cloud9 coming just yet. And Impact forced to defend by himself. He's doing what he can with the Titanic Hydra Cleave, but maybe not enough.
Smithy coming around, who he is well. He may want to die.
Darshan got Cocoon, very nicely played. Ulti doesn't get him, but he tags Smoothie and Impact on the end with a gnaw. Now Impact caught out position, is going to get himself Blade, who is going to join his way in from the Lantern, and that's 2 kills for CLG.
2-for-0. Dare they go over to Baron? They do have Cassiopeia very early in the game. Would be super risky. Not going to decide to do it. Darshan wants to base and see if Sneaky can actually get this turret. They are going to go for it. Yeah, well, so he's just actually going to base for more HP, and they're going to make the risky call. Meteos needs to come over. They need to contest.
Oh, Meteos got caught! Ulti from Huhi! Repels out of the way, and Hui's going to try and shut him down. Doesn't quite get the miasma down, but Meteos pretty much had whatever he wanted there. Jensen, though, going to come to his rescue. But CLG, they're going to get Baron off this, I think.
Yeah, it's looking like it's gone. No way for Meteos to get there. The clean Baron from CLG, and they are looking dominant. Up 6K. And it's all off of this. Sneaky's trying to trade, gets the turret, but in comes the flash from Smithy. Nice repel, though, from Meteos, avoids it. And Darshan has been huge this game. Nails the ultimate, gets the wall up on both, and good CC chain nets them not only those kills, but the tier 2 and the Baron.
Yeah, and Sneaky did get a trade. He got the bottom outer turret, so a bit of extra gold for Cloud9, but Baron over to CLG, a bunch more gold in their pockets as well. And split push Sneaky. Starting to become, I'm going to say, a worrying trend for Cloud9, because he's constantly in a side wave just trying to catch up, and his team's losing trades because of it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's one of those situations where they're basically feeling like, hey, we can't fight anyway, so there's no point in you being here. Go get whatever you can. But it is a worrying trend, the fact that they can't actually defend on either side. They're not getting as much in the trades, and now with the Baron, it's only looking like it's going to go from bad to worse as CLG wants to take the last remaining outer. Very low here. Can C9 defend?
Well, Darshan might even be charging up some rage for a potential tower dive. There's a lot of threat in the CLG lineup as far as both front and backside initiation. Huhi again burns a flash in. It's going to rush for it. Impact zones him out of the way, but the turret's dead. CLG with plenty of cooldowns left to play with.
Yeah, and Jensen took a fair bit of damage there. He's down to half. A little bit of poke onto Sneaky, so Summoner ulti burned from Cassiopeia. CLG will back off as that is down, and Meganar going to be gone pretty soon too.
Huhi just not afraid to build a trigger. I think he's used his flash on cooldown pretty much whenever he's
Sneaky
available. Oh, Sneaky! Not away as he tries to dash out, and Darshan on a killing spree as he takes him out.
Yeah, he dash flash, just gets pulled back by Darshan. You're not going anywhere, Sneaky. And CLG look to break the base.
Yeah, that's going to crack it here by the looks of things. Cloud9 4v5 can't really defend. Huhi in the middle of the base going to take up Meteor solo. Meteos again, down, shield's good, but the poison's still ticking down. Does fall down, Afro flashes in, takes out Smoothie, there's the bomb back, flaying onto Impact, that'll force the flash, but Darshan straight into the enemy team. Impact is dead as Nug gets a double, and CLG are going nuts.
We're 24 minutes into the game. They're diving the Nexus turrets. What's happening?
Well, new CLG, apparently they're going to get the mid inhib as well. And this gold lead is absolutely ridiculous. Cloud9 battered, bruised, and reeled down at this point.
And Cloud Drake spawning in 20. CLG has more than enough time to base and head over there if they do so want. They can pick up the top lane, and this is how it starts. Smithy saw Sneaky going into that bush, and he's going to get the ulti back in. And look at this, Sneaky flashing out, gets pulled right back into the stun. That is a tilter.
Certainly is. And then unfortunately it only gets to us as Hui goes big again in the base.
Yeah, Hui pushing in. CLG knows they have the advantage. Meteos on the side. No chance for him to get out. He already had to blow his flash last time, moving over to the Baron, where he got caught, and the poison's going to be more than enough. Then CLG's Afro move flashing in, nails the hook, and Impact cannot get out, even with the flash chase down, slowed up by Darshan. And play after play being made by CLG. They almost have a 10,000 gold lead.
Yeah, awfully close to just trying to end the game, and this final push could do it. Baron, I think on for a little while longer, may have just dropped off in the replay. So it won't have that for this push, but might not need it given how far ahead they are. And if they really want it, there'll be a Drake in a couple minutes, but I'm not sure we're going to make it.
They're pushing in the mid lane. They're rotating down to bot. CLG is looking so good. They do want to wait a little bit, though. Darshan has to get the top lane shoved in. Does not have TP yet.
Yep. Up very soon though, so it shouldn't be too much longer.
Yep.
CLG able to play patient. Jensen busy mid lane, clearing out the super minions that are pushing in. Sticks there with a Lantern. Good little poke onto the turret. CLG can rinse, repeat. Darshan getting things moving in the top lane. This is a tricky defense for C9.
Love a little combo from Afro and Stixay, honestly. Just send him in, have Lantern to pull him out. They have double Water Dragon, so they can actually just regen that back up over and over and over and just rinse, repeat until this turret goes down. Going to be hard for C9 to answer. Are they going to go for it again? Yep, same trick.
I mean, he's got Spell Shield. Like, what is he really afraid of? Just hits it, starts hitting the turret. Wall there trying to block them off, but Jensen doesn't get it. Darshan slowed up, gets shoved back in. Now has to flash out of the way. Ulti in, actually lands onto a couple, but not quite enough. Stixay getting low. Sneaky got aggressive in the bottom lane as well. And actually, Smithy now has to get himself over the wall. Does make it through the trees, but CLG took a little too much damage there.
They did. But the Dragon's going to start doing their work. You can see them regenning back up here. That turret, it's looking like it's theirs. It's super low, and it will go down. They're going to look for a second inhibitor.
Darshan there. Oh, big play. Smithy just nails Sneaky. And Hui gets another. Jensen caught up. He's going to get himself killed as well. Hui with a double kill now as CLG just going off in this game.
Supers are coming in the mid lane. This could be it.
Looks like it might be. Gonna break the bottom inhib just in case, but they might not need it. Nexus turret 1 gonna start to be assaulted. Hui's gonna zone them out of the way, and there, first turret going down. 25 and 35 seconds left on the other two, and I think CLG have done it here.
CLG with the near perfect game 1, 12-1, 27 minutes in. A dominating performance over Cloud9.
Looking awfully good in game 1, but not done yet. If that's any indicator, though, CLG could well and truly be back. Upward trend indeed.
I mean, the game started perfectly for them. They get a level 1 first blood on your AD carry, tilt that 2v2 matchup that was looking like it should have been C9 favored. They get way ahead there. Solo kill from Hui. Top lane outplays from Darshan. Everything was working for CLG, and they really extended the lead perfectly.
And it was just crisp, right? Like, they got the lead and they knew exactly what to do with it. Moving around the map, making aggressive plays. It just felt like the same smart, like intelligent, macro level CLG was there, but it's a bit of an aggressive spin on it, and I like it. Looking a little bit more like the top team. CLG may have finally uncovered what it means to play in this metagame, or at least in the NALCS this season.
At least for game 1, but we got to remember, C9 dropped game 1 to Apex yesterday, and then they came back. We were treated with that 60-minute game 2. Maybe we'll have a repeat.
Well, C9 definitely no strangers to long extended series, so we'll see if they can get it done here. That's definitely a rough game 1 to lose. That's one where your coach is like, all right, don't worry about it. We'll just fix it in the next 2. Try not to think about it too much because you said it already, one of those ganks. That game might have just been a tilter overall.
Yeah, you got to just basically erase that one from your memory. It's well, okay, don't worry about it. Unlucky level 1. That was what decided the game. Forget about it. We'll go back into game 2 and reset.
Well, following that game 1, I believe we are going to toss it over to the analyst desk, so let's circle back for a bit more insight.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. CLG, this is the team that we know. This is the cleanest game CLG has probably played this entire split here with their first victory over Cloud9 in the series to kick off the day. Match of the week here. Great to see that out of them. Very decisive game. Immediate thoughts on this one?
Cool level 1 as well. So in the CLG versus Immortals, we saw Xmithy just go over the wall by himself. What is he doing? But this time they bring the entire team around. They have a plan, looking for a pick, and it works really well. And I'm not sure if it was intentional, but the fact that the kill went over to Stixxay, maybe they could have foreseen that he would be able to crush Jensen in lane. But the fact that get that extra long sword makes Sivers laning phase so much easier, and you get 3 winning lanes.
I think just overall it was a good game from CLG, like from draft to end, where I like that they were able to counterpick both solo lanes. The early Trundle from C9, I think is fine. The Gnar is a well-known counterpick into it, and I think they picked the Taliyah to start helping out like their side lanes.
Right.
But the problem for me was the fact that Jensen kind of just lost his lane on his own. It was just a very bad game from him, I'd say.
Right.
And for someone who should be one of the largest mismatches when you compare these two teams, you would think Jensen being a top 3 and Huhi being someone who was struggling earlier in the season, it seems weird to me that he's getting solo killed in lane.
I gotta cut you off just as NALCS2 joins us. Viewers from NALCS2 who watched Immortals take the first game over Echo Fox. Both of our games essentially same amount of time, so very quick games from our 2 winners. We are currently breaking down CLG's victory over C9, and that's what we're going to stick with before we hop over to the other series. I apologize for cutting you off.
No problem.
Jump back in on your point, specifically highlighting Jensen's poor play in this game, having given CLG an edge.
Right, and what I was saying was that in terms of the draft, you picked the Taliyah to help out maybe some of your other losing side lanes, but the fact that your mid lane got smashed so hard really just destroys that game plan and it gave Darshan some extra freedom to go off, even though he was playing very well on his own.
Yeah, I mean, we saw specifically a couple times, even when Jensen did make the attempt to help a side lane, it'd still be ineffective in the 2-for-1 or be too late, as he was constantly pushed in by pressure from Huhi on that Cassiopeia. CLG on your screens right now, probably feeling pretty good after that first victory, knowing that they have a game to give, if that, or they can clean it up in 2 games in a row. Do want to dive into our only replay for this series. Comes 21 minutes into the game, 2-for-0 from CLG in the top lane. Gonna get the Baron off the back end.
So before this point, every kill has been in the laning phase, and this is the one time that they get to group, and they immediately pull the trigger when they see Sneaky in the bot side. Just go for a really aggressive dive, so decisive that it's eventually able to turn the Baron for them, and it snowballs the game out of proportion from this point on. So really good decisive shot calling to go for the dive before the wave gets there. As the turret's about to die, just pull the trigger when you see them. You know you have the advantage, and that's something that we criticize, say, Energy, the likes of a team that sees that window of opportunity but doesn't pull the trigger. This is exactly what it looks like when it's done right.
And I think that is such an important thing to highlight because starting a couple weeks ago, CLG really got a lot more aggressive around turrets and things like that. I forget which game it was, but they were top near an inhib turret, and like they're trying to siege the inhib, and then next thing you know, both Stixxay and Afro flash at the exact same time.
Envy.
Yeah, and they were able to like kind of close that game out just off that play. And having that really like kind of go button is really what separates the lower tier teams, like you were saying with Energy, from the top tier ones, and seeing CLG get that back is very good for them.
Purely speculative, but it does definitely feel like after that initial level 1, having seen it be successful, almost like it ignited some kind of fire within this team to be like, okay, now we remember who we are. We were a team that could create advantages pretty early on into the game and then play very clean and decisive League of Legends. Even if it is a very aggressive turret dive, they're doing it now as a full unit.
Well, the interesting thing about CLG is that you know them for their teamwork, their camaraderie, all that kind of stuff, and they're kind of that overshadows their individual play. A lot of times we criticize them individually, mistakes left, right, and center. But you have games like this where the individual performances are so high, solo kills everywhere, just lots of pressure in every lane. And where do they actually stand? Because when you look at them, do you put them as a low-rated players, or they're actually better than everybody else? Who knows?
It's very tough to judge these guys individually because they seem to succeed as a squad and fail as a squad, and so separating them out as individuals gets a lot tougher. Now, on the flip side, we just saw C9 on your screen discussing what changes they might make for Game 2, but this is very reminiscent of their series yesterday against Apex. Jensen gets completely, hammered in the mid lane, right? Bodied. Right. I'm trying to avoid using that. that. I'm trying to avoid using that as much as I can. But yeah, he got completely bodied in the mid lane. That's very reminiscent of what happened in game 1 yesterday where they lost. However, they were able to turn around. And this is a squad with personalities on it that can shrug off the game prior and jump back in for game 2.
I don't think they shrugged off game 2 against Apex. And frankly, if CLG gets an ace at 7 minutes, CLG will run away with it way faster.
That is true. I have more faith in CLG closing out a game.
So you're avoiding body, but you're not avoiding faith?
Yeah, jeez. I think just game 2, CLG being on blue side, I think Cassio's like a fairly strong pick into Jensen's champ pool. I'm not sure if he has anything that would destroy that. So you might be able to, even though Jensen will probably receive the counter pick, it might not be as impactful if you just go to Cassio or like an Azir or something who he can probably get in that side.
Well, thoughts for the second game. Closing out this first game, Darshan picking up player of the game this time around on his Gnar, 6-1-1. As we mentioned, just in the initial gank that went top lane, trades 1-for-1 in the 2v1. So good on him to pick up that kill.
Well, with that gank, it's so hard to actually see how impactful it is because the fact that Trundle died on such a big wave being pushed in, even because they traded 1-for-1, Trundle still gets to miss out on the entire wave of CS and at least gets to catch it. So it just puts him so far behind.
Right, and normally when you see a 1-for-1 that gets an assist, you think, oh, it's still fine for the 1-for-1 side. But when you factor in that wave and that you're in this kind of split pusher, when he gets ahead, it gets way worse than it would normally be if it was like tanks versus tanks or something.
Yeah, so unless Meteos really converts off of that extra XP and gold that he got, it definitely was a win.
But it's in
for
a way
them.
silly.
And that's the thing, so he didn't, right? It wasn't necessarily helpful. That's going to close out game 1 here for CLG versus C9. I want to turn our attention to Immortals' victory over Fox in game 1 of that series. Initially we see the very standard composition for Immortals come out, barring the Malzahar, which has been kind of rising to prominence here in the North American LCS. We're just seeing multiple mids start to pick him up this week. But the typical likes of Soraka, Sivir, that kind of stuff. Of course, the Rek'Sai was banned against Reignover, and he seemed to have a little bit of trouble on the Gragas in this game, at least in relation to playing against Braum.
It's ultimately like one of the worst matchups in terms of like not necessarily like jungle matchups, but just one of the most annoying things to play against is Gragas, where you go for the body slam, he sees the body slam, he W's that guy, puts his shield up, and then your ult's pretty much useless.
Your Q also gets stopped. Everything gets blocked.
It feels awful to play against, but you would expect more out of Reignover, being kind of the veteran, being this world-class player that like he would wait it out a couple times, wait for the shield to drop, maybe be a little bit more patient. But he seemed to not be playing.
Just pissed off. Just take it.
Just get out of here. At him,
well, that said, though, Immortals still playing very much as a team. We saw 7 minutes in, punishing Echo Fox for their attempt at a dragon. Echo Fox will pick up the dragon in this exchange. However, hand 2 kills over in the process.
This is just going to go into an entire tangent by us because we could just go over what led to this. We're talking about the cheese ganks as a jungler, where it can be either a crutch, so weaker junglers might just go ahead and use that as a way of getting themselves ahead. But the thing is that it's not. The cheese gank doesn't end after the gank. In fact, it's an entire way of playing the game out because you're putting all your efforts into one person right from the start, and you got to continue that over and over and over. But the second that you deviate from that plan and say, let's start objectives for no reason, things go bad.
Right. So like basically you put your Elise on this weird path where she's going to end up bot side level 3. That also impacts your bot lane really hard, and it's something you never like see as a spectator, but having coach with people, when your bot lane knows the jungler is behind you in your jungle, you cannot play aggressively. You can't go for trades because at any moment that jungler can just show up. You might be on your golems, you might be on your red, you don't know. And it just, you're putting, like Crumb said, all your eggs in this topside carry basket, which sounds fine because you have the counter pick into the Gnar, but then they never really revisit that lane to punish Huni some more, which seems to be like a good path to beating Immortals. And instead they start an Ocean Drake and a Cloud Drake, and it's.
I mean, just yesterday we were talking about how one-sided the Irelia Gnar matchup can be in favor of the Irelia. So not necessarily a bad idea to go for that initial gank, get the Irelia ahead. Just keep going with that. Set up the split push so that this Irelia has to be dealt with. They don't do that. Immortals now has control over the game, and we know when Immortals has control over the game, boy, do they move quickly. 21 minutes into the game, Fox is going to get aced by Immortals at the top tier 3 here, but this is just so odd. Huni into the base by himself.
He's looking at that.
I take this back.
You're looking at
this is actually this is a Fox ace.
He's got to get a look. He wants to get a look at the new environment.
Yeah, he's just taking a little Taurus Summoner's Rift, brings the whole rest of his team to Fox, and it's looking like a little okay. but then Turtle gets popped. It's this long chase down. Pole Belter is eventually going to try and turn it as well. It's kind of this one like, I think I can get a kill or two here and get out. And no, you can't, Pole Belter.
Yeah.
You're going to go down next. Good exhaust here from Big to get in range for it. It's able to keep like the E damage lower onto Froggen so he doesn't go down. And then from there, it's kind of a chase down the rest
So
of the members.
unfortunately, this is I was mistaken here. Not the replay I was expecting to see. Fox coming out on top here, but that's just because Immortals, again, when they have a lead, they sometimes will
Get a
go
little
for these
loose. Have a
extra
little fun
crazy
with
high
it.
feed
Yeah.
plays. What I was going to reference, and maybe we can speak about real quickly, is once again we saw Fox go for that Cloud Drake, the second Drake to spawn. They end up in a fight that nets 3 kills to Immortals for 0 in return. Almost too much focus around these objectives and handing over kills in the
It's
process.
the Cloud Drake. Like, what are you doing?
Get away.
I mean, it's fine to take a Cloud Drake if it's
Yeah, but
free.
you don't want to, like, usually you don't want to force these objectives that don't have a lot of value and force a fight around it, especially if your champions aren't team fight champions. Aurelia is not your team fighter. You just want to keep her on the side, get as many people separated as possible. Nars can outshine you every single time. And usually you want to go for these when there's absolutely nothing else on the map. You can't pressure, you can't dress the waves, there's no turrets to take. All right, it's time to get the dragon.
Misjudging the way that their team comp can achieve victory. That's unfortunate. Player of the game going to go to Pole Belter, though. 7-1-7 on that Malzahar. An absolute monster, 14 KDA there. We saw, throughout the game being involved in almost 100% of the kills, so...
Yeah, just all-around monster performance. His team was, acting a little weird at times, but he seems to always be the rock that's the most stable one. Turtle has his moments.
Yeah.
Huni has his moments. We definitely saw that in that highlight. But
We
Pole
don't know
Belter,
if Adrian can have his moments because he doesn't play champions that can have those moments.
yeah, put him on the Alistair. He'll probably have a couple moments or two.
All right, well, that's going to do it for Game 1 of both series. Game 2s for these streams are coming up right after this, so stick around on NALCS1. See if our defending champions will close out with a clean sweep or if Cloud9 can continue their comeback weekend. NALCS2 viewers, stay tuned to see what happens between Immortals and Echo Fox. You're watching North American LCS. Boom.
All right, Jensen,
what if
lead
I
us
wanted
through
to
some
say-
meditation. Get us all focused for the game today.
Be positive with your comms,
Positive
dude.
vibes, guys.
Let's hold that lead, dude. There you go, dude. Hold that lead.
boys.
Dashawn trying to get aggressive. Meteos comes back down. Dashawn trying to flip away. Oh my god, he traded.
Smithy coming around, who he as well. If you want to dive.
Dashawn got cocooned. Very nicely played. Ulti doesn't get it, but he tags Smoothie and Impact on the end with enough. Now Impact caught out position, is going to get himself played.
He's dead.
I'm gonna flash on Talia. I got Karma inside.
Karma? Nice. Being shot
I'm tanking.
Back up.
I'm tanking.
Alright, get the turtle away. Back up.
I can engage in Lucian.
Yeah, you can.
Alright, if you see it.
Yeah. Nice.
I got Talia.
Nice.
CLG with the near perfect game 1, 12-1, 27 minutes in, a dominating performance.